Its formal name is Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2. Most of us just say coronavirus or maybe COVID-19, which is short for coronavirus disease of 2019, when the first infections appeared.
But whatever you want to call it, this deadly illness spread very quickly, and it sparked a global response like nothing we've ever seen. Tonight, we begin our month-long exploration into the impact of the coronavirus and what comes next. CBS 12 News I-Team reporter Danielle Wall tells us how we got here so far.
We know this virus originated in Wuhan, China late last year. Its precise origins are still under investigation, but the most common theory is that it started in a bat, mutated and spread to a different animal before jumping to humans at a Wuhan market. More recently, evidence has begun to surface that it may have originated at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where bat viruses were being studied. Even now, 4 months later, we still aren't certain. What we do know is on New Year's Eve, the Chinese government announced a cluster of unusual pneumonia cases. It then closed the Wuhan seafood market, believed to be the source of the infection. Days later, China identified a new or novel strain of coronavirus, causing fever, cough, and in some cases, respiratory failure. The first death in China was announced on January 11th.
What makes this COVID or this coronavirus very unique is that it's spread through respiratory droplets, and it seems to be spread much more easily than other viruses that we've been used to in the past.
Dr. Robert Hawks of Florida Gulf Coast University explains this potentially deadly virus is highly contagious. And because it's new, our bodies have no immunity to it, and there are no proven treatments or vaccines. Further complications include its 2-week incubation period and the fact that many infected people never develop symptoms, so they carry and spread the virus without ever realizing they have it.
One person who's ill can, in theory, go out and infect a large number of people.
The first case outside China was reported in Thailand on January 13th. Then Japan announced its first case. Later that same week, it's believed a Seattle man flew home from Wuhan, bringing the virus to the United States, causing an outbreak at a Washington nursing home that is now linked to 37 deaths. If you don't remember seeing this in the news, you may have been distracted. This was all going on while the House of Representatives passed articles of impeachment against President Trump, and the trial was getting underway in the Senate. Meanwhile, tens of thousands were being infected around the world.
So why so much spread? Because we're global. And if you look at the areas of Florida, and if you look at the areas of the United States where the hotspots were, it's the obvious areas where the virus could be imported by people traveling unknowingly.
Infectious disease specialist Dr. Larry Bush says in the absence of treatment or a vaccine, travel restrictions and social distancing are the best hope for stopping a virus like COVID-19.
And banning dangerous foreign travel.
On January 31st, President Trump banned foreign nationals traveling to the U.S. from China. By the end of February, 54 countries reported infections, 3,000 had died, and Florida announced its first positive case.
Despite these cases, the overall immediate threat to the public remains low.
Governor DeSantis declared a public health emergency March 1st. At that point, just 23 people in Florida had been tested for the virus, and access to testing continues to be a problem even now. By mid-March, the United Nations declared a global pandemic. President Trump announced travel restrictions from Europe. The NBA and NHL suspended their seasons, Major League Baseball stopped spring training, and schools closed across Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast.
If I get corona, I get corona.
But spring breakers didn't give up, packing beaches and bars in spite of the danger. On March 20th, Governor DeSantis shut down bars, restaurants, and beaches. Mass testing sites manned by the National Guard were set up across the state. And on April 1st, Florida became the 34th state to close all non-essential businesses and tell citizens to stay safe at home. Since those shutdowns began, unemployment claims in the U.S. have topped 22 million, essentially erasing every job gained since the end of the last recession. Today, there are more than 2 million coronavirus cases worldwide, and we are approaching 150,000 deaths. In the country, there are more than 772,000 cases, and here in Florida, 26,000. So where do we go from here? That will be the focus of our reporting for the next month, starting with a look ahead at the new normal. That starts tomorrow here on CBS 12 News. In the studio, Danielle Wall, CBS 12 News.